There's a certain kind of tired that sleep doesn't fix. You wake up, and you're already exhausted. Not from what you did, from what you're carrying. You go through the motions. Coffee, work, smile, repeat. And from the outside it looks completely fine. Because you've made it look that way. You say, "I'm fine." And somehow, everyone believes you. Not because you're a good liar, but because you've gotten so good at holding yourself together. Most conversations about mental health focus on the people who visibly struggle, who cancel plans, who cry openly. But there's another group, and they're rarely talked about. These are the people who carry something heavy, but do it so quietly, so gracefully, that the weight never shows. Not even to the people closest to them. And here's what most people miss. The composed exterior isn't emptiness. There's an entire world happening underneath it. Hidden, stored, waiting. This isn't weakness. If anything, it's the opposite. And that's exactly why it goes unnoticed for so long. Sometimes even by the person living it. You're always the one who listens. You ask about people's lives with genuine care. You remember the details. You show up. You hold space for everyone around you. Sign 1. You're always the one who listens, but rarely the one who speaks. When someone turns the question around and asks how you're doing, something in you quietly deflects. You give your attention, your care, your presence, freely and without hesitation. But receiving that same thing back feels almost foreign, like it doesn't quite belong to you. Psychologists call this a fawn response pattern. When early relationships taught us that our needs were too much or simply secondary, we learned to make ourselves useful instead of vulnerable. Listening becomes a form of hiding. Sign 2. You feel everything intensely, but alone. In public, you're composed, measured, present. But at night, or in the shower, or driving by yourself, something breaks open. Those are the moments you actually feel it. The grief, the weight, the things you smiled through earlier in the day, comes out in the quiet because the quiet is the only place it's allowed. Neuroscience tells us that suppressed emotional processing doesn't disappear. It gets stored. In the body, in the nervous system. The feelings don't go away. They just wait for silence. Sign 3. You keep yourself constantly busy. And it's not because you love productivity. It's because stillness is uncomfortable. When things slow down, something surfaces. And you're not ready for it. So you fill the space. Another task. Another commitment. Another reason to keep moving. Because as long as you're moving, you don't have to sit with whatever is waiting underneath. But here's what happens when you finally stop. Even for a moment, the quiet rushes in. And with it, a low hum of anxiety or sadness or a question you've been avoiding. Busyness works. Until it doesn't. Sign 4. A low-grade irritability that surprises even you. You're not an angry person. You know that. But lately, small things catch you off guard. Comment. A change in plans. A tone that felt slightly off. It's not really about those things. What's happening is that your nervous system is already running close to capacity. When we're chronically suppressing stress, the threshold for what tips us over gets much lower. The irritability isn't the problem. It's the signal. Think of it like a container filled almost to the brim. It doesn't take much to cause an overflow. And the overflow always surprises you, because from the outside, the container looked perfectly fine. Sign 5. You've become very good at performing okayness. You know how to laugh at the right moment. You know what to say to exit a conversation gracefully. You've developed an almost instinctive read for what a room needs, and you provide it. This is often mistaken for confidence, for social ease, for being someone who has it together. But there's a difference between genuinely connecting with people and performing connection for them. One leaves you energized. The other leaves you quietly drained. You've spent years reading people, adjusting, calibrating. You know everyone else's emotional temperature with precision. But when was the last time you checked your own? Sign 6. You don't know what you actually need. Someone asks, genuinely warmly, what would help you right now? And you go completely blank. Not because you don't care, because you've lost the signal. Psychologists call this emotional alexithymia, difficulty identifying and describing what's happening inside you. When we spend long enough ignoring our internal signals, when we've been quietly rewarded for coping without complaint, we lose access to those signals altogether. The dashboard goes dark. And almost always, this traces back somewhere. A childhood where needs weren't met consistently. An environment that didn't have space for your full experience. A nervous system that learned very early to adapt rather than express. These patterns weren't chosen. They were built, piece by piece, response by response, until they became the shape of how you move through the world. Intelligent solutions to real problems. The only difficulty is that those solutions can outlive their usefulness. None of this makes you broken. It makes you someone who learned to survive and did it well. The coping was real. The strength was real. And so is the quiet exhaustion underneath it. You don't have to perform okayness to be worthy of care. You don't have to have everything held together to deserve gentleness. Both the person visibly struggling and the person quietly carrying, both are real. Both matter equally. The quietest kind of pain is often the most misunderstood. And the most misunderstood things tend to carry the most weight. If something in this felt familiar, there's a reason for that. And if you're curious about what that reason might be, there's more worth exploring.